Hi, this is Chuck the Funk from FSQ for alldayplay.fm. Where is DJ culture today? DJ culture is both ubiquitous, diverse, exciting, youthful. I mean, I could use a lot of adjectives and nouns. DJ culture for me was something that was kind of, I didn't really know about because I was a music producer and I started with George Clinton and was making funk music and disco music, and then I wanted to put together a band and get out there. Like, no, the new thing is you need to be out there DJing. And that was probably, I knew of a lot of different groups and sets. I knew Trackademics and I knew the Honor Roll and I knew these crews, but I didn't really think of it as like a DJ thing. And when I put my first record together for FSQ, it was called Zulu Congo Call, and started shopping around, I met Soul Clap, and they're an electronic dance duo, originally out of Boston, now they're in New York, Miami. And Soul Clap basically said, yeah, we're gonna put your record out. But I didn't realize to support it, I was gonna have to go DJ. Fortunately, my partner in FSQ, there's 6 of us total in the group, Sa'd Ali, he's George Clinton's nephew. And what Sa'd never told me, because I knew Sa'd from the hip hop world, what Sa'd never told me was that he brought house music to Atlanta, that he knew Marshall Jefferson, that he grew up with Louis Vega, was DJing Zanzibar in the early 80s. So he knew DJ culture, but I didn't have him in the group for that, and he taught me about like the old school, like the Louis Vegas, and Kenny Dose, Master of Works, and now like those people are co-signing on our records, but that's like the history and the cool part of it, right? But then, like I said, youthful, right? Like there's so many sets that are doing different things, and they're producers, but they're DJing their own music. Like when I think of like, I saw a set by Black Rave Culture, and they're from Baltimore. Yeah, I saw them in Amsterdam for Amsterdam Dance Event, and they were just banging this like club music that I wouldn't even call it Baltimore club music. It was like tribal, global music. So to me, DJing is very much about the producers and what they're doing and what their sound is and what the genres they're creating. And so I could go on and on. And so it's like everything from that old school, like, where did disco and funk turn into house, to this new thing like that we've got 100 different genres in different localities, and maybe you're in Angola and you're making some kind of Portuguese dance music and you're DJing it. So there's so many things to describe DJing that I don't know, where is DJ culture today? It's everywhere. I mean, there are also, I'll just put a bow on the ideas, there are also people that are just DJing, and because they have a community around them, they know music, they're the DJs. You don't have to be a producer to be a DJ. So like that question's really loaded for me, but I was trying to focus in more on like the youthful energy that's focused on making new kinds of genres, and then kind of the history of like disco, funk to house, to soulful disco to house, and that, like the Louis Vegas and all that. So I hope that answers your question, where is DJ culture today? FSQ, there's a long history here, but I am, first and foremost was a funk fan in high school. They didn't have YouTube yet. There was the beginning of CD reissues. Like you had to go, I had 11,000 vinyl records of funk. Because to play James Brown, to play Sly Stone, to play George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic, to play those records, Bootsy, you had to actually have the vinyl. And it turns out there are some two guys in my high school class, they're called the High and Mighty. They were a hip hop group, and they had the like records that they were sampling, and I'm like, but I want to know what that record is and get that record. So I became this avid funk collector, and then I was like, well, wait a minute, I want to play funk music. So I went up to George Clinton, and when I was in college, I met him at the University of Colorado Boulder, and I said, I'm gonna be in your band. He said, who the funk are you? And I'm like, but I'm Chuck the Funk. So I actually wound up going on tour with George Clinton for about 4 years in the late 90s, and I had a record deal with Warner Brothers. It was called Chuck the Funk, and that was my conceptual project, but I was singing on it, and it was terrible, okay? So, musicians, what I would say is like, learn how to smell your own armpit. If it smells stanky, don't, learn how to improve. And so a little bit of time went on, and I had a live jazz funk band called Funk Squish. that wasn't hitting also because I was in Philadelphia. And this is kind of how I know Honor Roll and some of the things. There was a place called the Holler Board. So the Holler Board was Diplo's message board. And I started listening to all this new music and I'm like, wait a minute, these people are DJing and they're taking funk and soul and disco, but then they're putting against trap and reggaeton and cumbia, and they were mashing it all up, and that got me really super inspired about what is the next kind of music that I'm gonna make. And the name of the group then was called Funk Squish. So I took out all the vowels and I came up with this thing. I'm like, okay, now I'll just have FSQ. It's sleek, it's modern, it's for the kids, it's gonna be like cool. And I was like, well, what does FSQ stand for? I kind of looked at it like ESQ, like Esquire, like it was like a thing. But it stands for Funk, Style, Equality. And what that really means is funk first, because that's where I come from. Style, we flip a lot of styles. We'll make Caribbean disco, soca music. We'll make Northern soul. We'll make Baltimore club. We'll make regular, just traditional deep house music. We can do genres because we're musicians. G Coop, who's here in the Bay Area, in Southeast Oakland, G Coop is in the group. So G Coop, you know, he comes from the hip hop world and we're meshing his sound with like maybe Matt, one era is from Philadelphia, who plays a real traditional disco. So we've done all kinds of styles of funk, style, quality. And I brought in my partner, Sa'd The Hourchild Ali, who's no longer with us, from George Clinton Parliament Funkadelic. I'm like, you're gonna be our hype man. And there's 5 of us in the group. Morgan Wiley, who's from Midnight Magic, and he's in New York City. Chaz Bronze, he now goes by Tate Massmore. He's in Jupiter, Florida, West Palm Beach. And I don't wanna forget anyone. Morgan, Matt, Chaz, Sadi's no longer with us. I'm probably forgetting someone, so sorry. It's just like, you know, it scrambles my brain. But there are really 5 of us that are living today. And we've been making music now with Soul Clap Records since 2013. So that first record that came out, they're like, you need to go on the road and DJ. I got to DJ the Voodoo Festival and Amsterdam Dance Event and go DJ in Ibiza. And that's how I learned the culture of DJing through like, okay, I know music. I had those 11,000 records, but like my tastes have grown, how I put together a set has grown, but I draw on something from my childhood, which is, now I'm talking about FSQ, the DJ side, right? Because we do play our own music. Because I can't afford to put together a 10-piece band, although we do that. We have a band called FSQ and the SQs. How James Brown has James Brown and the JBs, we have FSQ and the FSQ and the SQs, the Supreme Qualities, the SQs. And we play live, we played in Brooklyn and Come On Everybody, and we've done shows. But primarily, I'm DJing for the group. And I've started to put together everything from my childhood, like which was the 80s, where we didn't have genres. We played new wave. I thought George Clinton's Atomic Dog was a new wave record. It sounded so futuristic. I thought Thomas Dolby's She Blinded Me With Science was a R&B record because it had like such like a soulful cut. So back then, like everything was kind of together. And it's interesting, like all these remixes from my childhood that I love, like from the 80s new wave, Francois K was the producer on it, or Louis Vega did a remix. So it all kind of comes full circle. And FSQ, we're still making, you know, original tracks, we're making remixes, we're just releasing a lot of music, and we're also out there DJing or doing live shows. So that's how it got started. Basically my need to be cool and relevant and get out of that kind of like jazz funk and stop getting on the mic. So that's one other thing to mention is like, yeah, I had this Chuck the Funk project with George Clinton P-Funk, and they co-signed it and they're like, we love it. I'm like, no, I stunk. So I write a lot of lyrics and vocals, and like Nona Hendrix, Fonda Ray, Dolette McDonald from Talking Heads and Police Sting era. So we've got like or George Clinton's on our records. We've got the key vocalists. I'm writing a lot of the lyrics and the music and the band. So we got the music, the band, the lyrics, and we have the DJ sets for FSQ. One, to stay current, I have a weekly radio show, and that is amazing because I'm getting promo in from some of the best like promo people, like this woman, Shine Music, Sharon Andrews, shout out to you, in the UK. I'm like getting, or this guy, Alfie, he has got special requests. A lot of these things come through InFlight, which is a DJ promo platform, and I wanna get the newest things in, and I wanna play that, and I wanna see how that works in a set out. And I really don't like to be tied to like, okay, I'm gonna do this type of genre or that. But it's usually all within that funk, disco, more disco house world, and that's the current music I'm liking. But the music from my youth is new wave. And then all the stuff kind of comes together when you go to Ibiza, like, oh, you're the perfect Balearic DJ. And like, what does that mean I'm a Balearic DJ? Like, well, no, this is what we played in the key Balearic years, like in the Summer of Love, 88. So I'm drawing and putting all these things together. So like in a set, I'll have like Yellow, they're my favorite, or Swiss electronic duo from the 80s. I'll have Duran Duran. I'll have a group from the UK from the 80s called Blancmange. I'll put in some rare Talking Heads B cuts, like those will be in the set, you know, but I do, when I mixes, I also like to do intentionally themed mixes, like, okay, this mix is for the Caribbean, or this mix is for my drive from Venice to the Swiss Alps. Like, I do like to tell stories through music and songs. Today, admittedly, I have to say that I like just grabbed all the discs and I'm looking through and like, what are the classics? So it's definitely pulling in that new wave, the new modern disco, house, Balearic stuff, and then everything in between. And then definitely try to get in the six groups that I think are the best groups in the world, right? They are Parliament Funkadelic, George Clinton, that's like one thing. James Brown and the JBs, that's two. And they all have those two have overlap. Number 3 is Duran Duran. Okay, it's just my childhood. They were funky, they had Nile Rodgers in the group. Number 4 is Yellow. And number 5 is Sly Stone, Sly and the Family Stone. Sly and the Family Stone, songwriting, lyric-wise, is a whole different thing than George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic, and James Brown. But did you know Sly Stone was in Parliament Funkadelic in the late 70s? George and Sly got together. So there is all overlap between these, except Duran Duran and Yellow don't intersect. And then FSQ, because I drink my own Kool-Aid. And so those are what I call the holy 6 groups. And I usually will play them in every set. So figure out a way to get them in. If I don't today, I'm gonna fire myself. I prefer to do what the party calls for, what the party takes. I just did a Italo disco set at Great Northern with DJ PlayStation and Moski, Maurizio. And yeah, he said, can we do back-to-back tonight? Why am I gonna be the diva that that says, no, we're not doing that? Like, I have all my Italo bag, I'm gonna figure out, I like that puzzle piece. Like, okay, you left me at 120 at this key, what do I have that can fit in? You know, my partner, Sa'd Ali, again, no longer with us, but I'm always thinking of Sa'd. He always said, DJ's the art of what are you going to play next? And I like that challenge, right? So I like longer sets. I like doing a whole night. Like, I like going from 9 until 4. And that'll just give me a chance to expand. But I'll prep really well for like, I've got to know, because I can't run out of music. But I do like to do whatever the party takes, whatever it calls for. I'm not a diva. If there's a challenge, I'm up for it. So my philosophy towards DJing is always be listening to music and curating music and have your own bag of music. I'm actually managing a few artists that are producer DJs, and like, I kind of cringe a little bit because I'm like, are you on these, I've talked about promo, like making sure you're on promo lists with other artists, you know, also is going to cut down on your cost of buying music, but like, are you going to Juno Download and looking in the genre you like? Are you looking at the disco page at Juno Download that week? Are you looking at Tracksource? Are you looking at other DJs charts? Are you listening? Are you spending that time each week to listen, right? And then do you know what your classes are? Like, I was able to say these 6 groups are gonna be in my sets. Like, you need to have that because that's gonna be your unique sound. Otherwise, like I said, because there's this whole influencer DJ world now and people build communities around themselves, that's great. If you've got a community, like I know a DJ who's a Burning Man person, they have a community, but they're not really like digging deep to know what their sound or what their thing is. And that, I'll hear it. Like, I wanna learn a track from you. So, you know, if a DJ plays something I haven't heard, that's the most exciting thing, and I like that track, then I'm like gonna keep coming back for the DJs. And I want a DJ where I usually get to hear new things. That to me is the most exciting thing. So, yeah. Keep listening. The DJ philosophy is keep listening to music, keep adding to your bag of music, and know kind of what your classics are, that you can like put all that together, you'll have a unique sauce. What I would say too, this is one DJ philosophy. You know, the other DJ philosophy is like, have all the things that people popular want to hear. Like maybe you're the DJ that's DJing weddings. Maybe you're the DJ that's DJing like a block party. And those types of DJs, like they have all the classics. Like someone I think of like that could play like Prince and Stevie and Michael Jackson, some is Cosmo Baker, who I grew up with in Philadelphia. He's gonna have like all of the kind of interesting remix takes of that, and he can make a set sound interesting with Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, or DJ Spinna. Like, they can do the real popular things. That's not my philosophy, my bag, because I wouldn't be good at it and I'd be duplicating what someone else does. So what one philosophy is my thing, which is always be listening to music and curating your own special set of like sauciness. But then there's the other philosophy, like, can you be that DJ for everyone? The people that can be the DJ for everyone, I admire you. DJs for everyone. So one thing you should know about FSQ is that about 50% of our catalog is remixes for other artists. And it's a struggle because we will actually like go out, get stems, do the remixes for them, and then like it won't come out, or like the label didn't approve of it. Or there's also a thing that remix producers should know about with metadata, meaning that Apple Music will not display, like if you get an official remix, like, oh, I got to do an official remix for Soul Clap. Even though I'm the remix artist, like on Spotify, it'll appear on my page. But on Apple Music, it won't. So like that's the problem, is like I really do enjoy doing remixes, and we really like take, what is this riff of the song that didn't get highlighted? Like I heard this like melody went dee-dee-dee-bop, but it needs to be done 10 times, dee-dee-dee-bop, dee-dee-dee-bop, dee-dee-dee-bop. So I'm gonna like, you know, work that in, or maybe add a trumpet that does that. I love remixing, but the one thing you need to be aware of is like, it may not get its shine, or you know, in the way that it should. I love remixes. All the way back to, like I said, Francois K and Louis Vega, and I used to listen to freaking Duran Duran. I didn't know that Duran Duran, there's a song called Skin Trade, and I love this Duran Duran's remix. It was called like the Extra Skin Trade remix. But I didn't know that it was Larry Levan that had done the remix, because a lot of times back in the 80s, you were just getting like oh, this Madonna remix is, you know, a Jelly Bean remix. You didn't know it was Louis Vega. You were just into Madonna. So I think remixers are getting more credit now. Maybe still not enough in the streaming world, but yeah, remixes. And we've had those remixes going all the way back. I had no idea that Francois K had remixed all the new wave, like Cabaret Voltaire, which is just a random new wave group, like that he'd done the remix for that. So remixes all the way. For FSQ, our biggest remixes are for a Dutch group called Crack and Smack. So I was able to like persuade them, like, hey, Crack and Smack, come on, let us do a remix. They liked it, they put it out. Was it the biggest remix on their remix album? Like there are other bigger remix producers, but it gave us like 100,000 streams because we're with them, you know, so. I loved going to see Louis Vega at CLO in the West Village. It was around the corner from my house. And I loved going to see him and Francois K at Cielo. Cielo is this like club with a wooden dance floor in the middle, a huge disco ball, and like these couch like velvet seats, and you could just either sit or you could go in the middle of the dance floor, and people were coming from like Newark, from New Jersey, and like the old heads were coming in, and that to me was like kind of the best. I think when it comes down to like who are my favorite DJs, I'd also say like one of the things that makes for me a really great DJ set is the venue. What's the venue? What kind of cocktails are they serving? How am I partying? Who am I partying with? So it can be like the whole experience. So to say like who's your favorite DJ, it's more like what were the coolest parties? You know, like, and like Roxy Cottontail from the Hollaboard, she's been doing this whole retrospective of her parties from the early 2000s. Like, yeah, I went to that party and I was twisted. So it can also not just be to the DJ. Like again, I mentioned Louis Vega and Francois K because they're from my childhood. But and then who's the best DJ now currently? Like I want to go see a Black Rave Culture at Amsterdam Dance Event. What I would recommend is if you're really into DJ culture, maybe more it's dance music because it's less the hip hop thing. But if you're into dance music and you want to see DJs, buy a ticket to Amsterdam Dance Event. It's about like $500. You get to go to the conference and the panels, but you get into all the parties. You don't have to worry about being on anyone's list, and you're gonna see, you just bounce around, you're gonna see artists you've never heard of and what they're presenting as both a producer and DJ. And like, I saw Toy Tonic, so they're a label out of Germany. I saw their party and they had all the artists on their label at their party and they were just playing things I'd never heard. That's what I'm really looking for. And I wouldn't say there's one person currently because like I'm going to these parties, I've never heard of you, but this is a freaking incredible set. And the venues, like, do I feel comfortable in this venue? Like, do I have space to dance? Can I easily get a cocktail? Can I like lamp up? Can I go on in New York City? Can I go to the rooftop and look out of the city? You know, how am I hearing and seeing the music? Because that's like also like incredible. Am I in a little basement, like one of the best things, this was Matrix Man, who was from the Bay Area at the time. Shout out to Matrix Man at the Bunker, which is out in like, I don't know if it's still there, it's out in Hunters Point. It's like this little bunker, military bunker. Somebody drove us out there. I saw Matrix Man play all night. When we got done, everyone left me and I had to walk back from Hunters Point back to 3rd Street to get home. But like that, you remember that venue in that place, and that was just like a really dark little military bunker in the middle of the night out of Hunters Point. So those types of things, they stick with you, and it's like just those experiences. I think the DJ experience is really important. What makes a song perfect to throw in the set? A good melody, something that I can really hook into, hooks and like a good bass line and drums, and it could be, I'm all over the BPM map. I play 96, I play 105, I play 110, I play 120, I play 130. I'm not trying to be like, and that's what the Balearics people, you know, say, or Francois K DJ'd after me at Detroit Movement Fest, and he's like, oh, I like that you were playing like slower stuff. There's a tendency right now, just play everything 120 plus. No, so I'm open. I mean, I'm open, but I'm also like reading you and you and you and everyone in the room. Like, I'm not gonna like slow it down if you guys are already hyped. Like, I don't wanna like, you know, so I have to really read the room and understand who am I playing for, what's going on, and being situationally aware of the dance floor. Hi, I'm Chuck the Funk from the group Funk Style Quality, aka FSQ, and today you're gonna get a classic FSQ set, which includes FSQ originals and remixes, because about 50% of our music catalog is remixes. So remixes by FSQ, Caribbean disco remixes, Northern soul remixes, house remixes, and our classic style, which is new wave, Balearic, disco, and funk and house music, and that's like the classic FSQ sound. That's what you're gonna get today from your friend Charlie, aka Chuck the Funk, of the Funk Style Quality Group. You've got funk, you've got style, you've got quality, you've got FSQ, baby. This is Chuck the Funk from FSQ for ADP.FM.